Sixth part of our series on indices, and we're going to be looking at today brackets. How to deal with these guys. A little bit tricky. Let's begin. The most common mistake with brackets, and I really see this a lot, even from seasoned mathematicians, is that they put the power 3 from the bracket only on the x. The first thing I want you to do is remember 4 is the same as 4 power 1. So you can put that little 1 in there to remind yourself. With brackets, you need to multiply the powers. So in this case, I want to do 1 times by 3. But I also want to do x squared times by 3. Now, 1 times by 3 is 3. And 2 times by 3 is 6. That's not the end though, because you should know that 4 cubed is 64. If you don't know that, you've got your calculator or you're doing some long multiplication. So 64 x power 6 is your final answer for that question. Let's move on. Here we are in our second question. As you can see, it's getting a little bit trickier here. We've got these fractions that are starting to creep into the question. Like before, I'm going to remind myself that 27 is 27 power 1. I'm going to multiply both the 1 by the power a third, but also the x power 6 by a third. Now, 1 times a third is a third. If you're not sure about that, you can remind yourself that 1 is the same as 1 over 1 times 1 over 3. With fractions, when you multiply, you just times the top number. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 3 is 3. So we have 27 power a third. We're going to get to that in the next line, don't worry. And 6 times by 1 over 3. Again, if it helps you, we can do that on the side. 6 over 1 times by 1 over 3. 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. And 3 goes into 6, so 6 divided by 3, that gives you 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1, which gives you 2 over 1, which is just 2. So now we're nearly finished, but we need to tidy up the 27 power a third. Remember, the bottom number is the root, and the top number is the power. So we've got the cube root of 27 times by x squared. You could write 27 power 1, but 27 and 27 power 1, they're the same. So the cube root of 27 is 3. And the reason why the cube root of 27 is 3 is because 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. So if 3 cubed is 27, then the cube root of 27 has to be 3. So our final answer from part 2, or the second question, is 3x squared. Let's examine now how we can deal with those minuses, which can be really troublesome, and the brackets together. So 8, remember, 8 power 1. So I've got 8 to the power of 1 times minus 2. And I've got x to the power of minus 3 times by minus 2. Remember, always multiplying the outside power by any powers on the inside. 1 times minus 2 is minus 2. Here you've got a double minus. You've got a minus 3 times minus 2. Minus times minus always makes plus, and 3 times 2 is 6. This isn't fully simplified yet. We've got to keep going. Now, we're going to deal with this minus. That minus will make it flip upside down. So we're going to have 1 over 8 squared times by x power 6. Now, 8 squared is 64, and the reason for that is 8 times 8 is 64. So we've got 1 over 64 times by x power 6. And the final little bit of tidying up is 1 times by x power 6 is x power 6. And 64, there's nothing there. If it helps you, you can put a 1. 64 times 1 is 64. So that is our final answer for the third question. The last example is always the hardest, and this one definitely is. We've got fractions, we've got minus numbers, and we've got something going on outside of the bracket. So where to start? The important thing is to remember back to when you learned maths when you were younger. You're taught at 13 years old or 12 years old when you go to high school, you need to always do bid maths. That's the order of operations: brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. X times by what's inside the bracket, that's a multiplication. But the bracket itself is the B from bid maths. So you want to do the bracket. You want to do the bracket first and then the multiplication afterwards. So let's work on that bracket. We're not going to forget about the X. We're going to write directly underneath here in the same place to remind us to deal with that later. Now, my 125, I put that to power 1. So I've got 125, 1 times by a third. And then I've got x to the power of minus 1 times by a third. So 1 times by a third is a third. If it helps you, you can put 1 over 1 times by 1 over 3, which is 1 over 3. X to the minus 1 times by a third, minus times plus is always minus. Now we're going to have a little bit of tidying up to do. What I'm going to do first is organize this a little bit. I'm going to put my number in the front here, and I'm going to put my x's together afterwards. If you remember back to the beginning lessons, 125, that's the power, that's the root. So I'm going to rub that out and I'm going to replace that with a root. I'm going to put that 3 here. I could have the 1 here, but 125 power 1, it doesn't make any difference. So I'm going to leave it out. Here, if I'm multiplying indices, I need to add them. X doesn't seem to have anything, so lots of people think it's 0. But in fact, x, just like the 125, is the same as x power 1. So here, I need to add these two together. So on the next line, the cube root of 125 is 5. Probably starting to get really familiar with these. They use a lot of the same examples. The cube roots, they often use 8, 27, 125, 64. So the cube root of 125 is 5. Now here, I need to add these two. So 1, adding a minus a third, that will give me 1 minus a third. 1 as a common denominator, you need to have a common denominator here of 3. So I need to times that by 3, times that by 3. So I need to do 1 minus a third, which is the same as 3 over 3 minus 1 over 3. 3 minus 1 is 2, and the bottom number stays the same, 3. So I end up with 5x to the power of 2 over 3. I told you this question was tricky. We're not even finished yet. I'm going to tidy this up a little bit. I'm going to remember that my top is my power, so I've got x squared, and my bottom one, my 3, is my root. I can't simplify that down any further. And you guys are done for 2.1 Indices, Key Scale 6. The team at Maths with Sophie have made a free ebook to go with this video series. We've broken the topic down into small, manageable sections. Each section has a video tutorial that you're already watching, interactive questions, and model solutions from exam questions. To claim your free ebook, you don't need to download anything, you don't need to sign up for anything. You simply click the link below and it will open in the web browser of your phone, tablet, or computer. If you enjoy using our free ebooks, make sure you check out our website because we have other ebooks on different topics.